one of the biggest problems facing marine life today and pollution in general. And unfortunately, I think that because people are talking so much about climate change right now, I think we're neglecting to talk about regular pollution problems such as this one.
People should stop throwing rubbish in the sea and ocean because it will affect the marine life negatively, and it will cause pollution in the water, which will then eventually affect humans as well.
I think beach and ocean pollution is a real problem. You see it a lot of times in the summertime. I know in Canada, quite often the beaches end up getting closed because the quality of the water is hazardous to people's health. So I think it's a real problem.
I think that it's a really big problem, and that it's one of those things that when it's not directly in somebody's face, they don't necessarily realize that it exists, and that we need to be far more aware and educated on the situation.
I think it's a really good thing that I eat sushi, you know, and I don't want fish getting polluted.
Like, so you don't want it to be polluted, or else your sushi will be polluted?
I've never actually really polluted the waters of the beach because I barely go there. But I have been to Sentosa sometimes, and there has been some pollution, so I think that's quite bad.
Honestly, I think that laws need to be made about no litter at beaches, and I also think that we shouldn't encourage businesses that produce or set up waste, i.e. food stands and vendors and things like that, to sell near beaches.
Well, there's, I guess, different types of pollution that's in the water. Some of the pollution that we see is people throwing garbage, like plastic containers and different types of packaging. So I guess the first thing that people could do would be to find garbage receptacles or those kinds of things. And then the other problem is runoff from factories and from sewage treatment plants that you don't see but really greatly affects the quality of the water. And there needs to be better environmental standards to ensure that those types of pollution don't happen.
Stop throwing those junks into the ocean, because some of them do.
Yeah.
It's pretty annoying as a surfer too.
I think first they need to educate themselves and realize what's going on, and then figure out what small steps they can take to stop what's happening. Like, people aren't going to be able, most of us aren't able to like completely change the world, but there's always small things that people can do.
I think the oil spill has had an impact on the sea and the ocean over there in that area, because a lot of marine life that was living there is now affected, and it's harder for marine life to exist there, and many species are endangered to being extinct, and it's a serious issue.
I think that the oil spill and other pollutants, etc., all have a cumulative effect, and I think that's going to be a really bad effect.
I do. I think it affects, the first thing it affects is the marine life, and then different birds that use the oceans for their habitat. So there's a lot of wildlife that's affected, and their populations are greatly affected by the oil spills.
I don't want to know, but I think the figure is probably very high. Is it maybe 1,000 barrels of oil?
Something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm sure it's a high number and far too much. 1 barrel is too much.
I don't know. I'm guessing you're asking the question because the answer is that there's a lot. Every once in a while you hear about oil spills like the one that happened in the Gulf of Mexico, but perhaps there's more that's going into the oceans that we don't know about.